There is a Star Wars movie that you were not allowed to see. The movie you saw was only half of the story. The other part was taken away. Many important Star Wars scenes have been cut, changed, or buried deep in Lucasfilm's files for more than 40 years. One of them is a friend who was erased from the galaxy's mind. A simple family dinner that turned into a quiet goodbye to cold desert nights as a child. And a Darth Vader order strong enough to destroy a whole world were all taken out of the theater version. Luke had a good reason to leave after these scenes. Tatooine made Han look like a real bad guy, and it made the Empire look so cruel that it didn't even need sound. We're going to show you the 9 scariest removed scenes from Star Wars again today. There were scenes that, if they had been kept, could have changed the galaxy a long time ago. Prepare yourself, because you are about to see the real dark side of a faraway star. Biggs Dark Lighter, the brother-in-arms that Star Wars forgot about. Listen to who's talking. Your voice sounds like my uncle because you've been in Starfleet for so long. You feel a little weaker in the city. An important figure was taken out of the very first movie, which started its own empire. Someone who used to move you or give you a reason. And Luke Skywalker's first loss. That scene about him was kept secret in the files for almost 40 years. His name was Biggs Dark Lighter. We meet Luke for the first time in the movie cut while he is cleaning a droid and whining about having to do chores. But in the earlier version that wasn't cut, Luke is a lonely, angry teenager who wants to leave Tatooine. He runs to the Tosha stop right away, where lots of young people are talking about the war. There, Luke meets up with Biggs again, who was his best friend as a child. Just got out of the Imperial Flight Academy. It takes almost 5 minutes to watch the scene. Under the hot desert sun and wind, Biggs tells them he is leaving the Empire to join the Rebel Alliance. The people are rising up, Luke, and I'm going to join them. It gives Luke his first real sign of hope. There's a reason for him to believe now, not just a dream. But George Lucas cut the scene because he thought it slowed down the beginning. And pushed back the audience's first meeting with Leia and Darth Vader. How much it costs. People only see an unnamed fighter fall when Biggs dies in the Battle of Yavin. And Luke doesn't lose a brother, he just keeps going. If that scene at the Tosha station had been kept, Star Wars might have started with feelings instead of lasers. Throughout his journey, Luke thought about it, but the viewers never got to see it. You know what? Luke Skywalker would have lost more than just a friend. He would have lost the first reason he ever had to fight. The lost search for R2-D2. It was the most lonely night Luke Skywalker had ever spent on Tatooine. Yes. That's a lot better. Before Luke Skywalker met Obi-Wan Kenobi and heard the words "the Force," he almost died one night. All because he went to find a small droid that had gotten away. A night that George Lucas filmed in its entirety and then forgot about. This scene that was cut takes place after R2 runs away with Leia's message. In theaters, the movie starts right away the next morning, when Luke goes outside to find R2 and is attacked by sand people. In the edited version, however, there is a whole series of shots taken at night across the Tatooine desert, which is cold, lonely, and full of myths. Luke and C-3PO are going fast on land in the dark. Tatooine looks like a calm ocean of sand because of the twin moons that shine on the dunes. Can we find him? C-3PO asks, Master Luke? I hope so. We're done if the sand people catch him. As the wind screams like a faraway scream, they stop shining a light across the dunes. In a few shots, Luke looks tired as he looks out into the void all by himself, as if the Force were watching him. Luke is 19 years old and doesn't have a lightsaber or a fate. He is just a kid who cares too much about a droid he doesn't know very well. Lucas cut the scene because he thought it slowed down the action and stopped the flow. But if it had stayed, Star Wars would have shown Luke for the first time as a lonely person in the universe, a small soul in the middle of an endless sky. A simple search at night, but the real start of the whole story. Luke was already leaving Tatooine by that night. Not by chance, but because a small droid brought a princess's cry for help. We start the best trips sometimes because we can't leave someone behind. The calm blue milk dinner was a sign of the terrible tragedy that would destroy the Lars family. A normal dinner was held before the war, before the bright lights of starfighters cast their shadows across the desert. A small table in the Lars family's dome-shaped home. Luke Skywalker grew up, laughed, and dreamed there. Aunt Beru is by herself in the kitchen at the beginning of this cutscene. She puts blue milk into a glass and stirs it slowly until the light from Tatooine hits the thin layer of foam. Behind the scenes, Uncle Owen is upset that he bought 2 broken droids. Beru doesn't answer. She only looks up towards the hatch where the sun is setting and listens to the wind and Luke's footsteps coming closer. As Luke walks in with sweat on his forehead, he continues to say that he wants to leave the world. I have to leave soon, Aunt Beru. There's a world out there. Luke, she smiles, this is sometimes a whole galaxy too. The scene only lasts a few minutes, but it shows Luke's whole life. People who are quiet and live alone in the desert are trying to keep the last bit of warmth in a cold world. That part was cut by George Lucas because he thought it slowed down the story and wasn't necessary to the main plot. In these short scenes, though, we can see what the movie never says directly. When the stormtroopers came, Luke lost more than just his aunt and uncle. He also lost the last home he had on Tatooine, where blue milk used to foam in a glass and Beru's soft smile warmed the whole room. Star Wars would not have started with a war if this scene had stayed. Instead, it would have started with a simple family dinner and a quiet goodbye to youth. Luke had already left home for good before he left Tatooine. Mos Eisley, which was locked down by the Empire, was the most terrifyingly quiet place in the desert at night. Dennis? Han Solo fired his first shot in the cantina before. Mos Eisley had another one that was so strangely quiet at night that it was cold when the Empire went through every street. Only a few stormtroopers ask about droids are shown in the movie cut. In the uncut version, however, the scene lasts almost 4 minutes and is made up of cold, unsettling pictures that George Lucas later said were too real, too human. Stormtroopers in their dozens were spread out across Mos Eisley's market. They go through every house, pull droids out of dark places, and look at their serial numbers. There is natural desert light and reflections from white armor in the video, making it look harsh and emotionless. It shows an alien kid running, but he gets stopped at blaster point because he has a toy droid in his hand. There is no music or talking. All R2 units are only found by listening to radio chatter mixed with short orders. No droids leave this area. The editing team says Lucas wanted to keep the scene at first to show how much power the Empire had, which would have helped explain why Luke later chose to leave Tatooine. But after the movie was finished, he realized that adding more of Mos Eisley made it too heavy and took away from the light-hearted adventure tone he was going for. The scene where the stormtroopers look for the droids was taken out of cinemas and only appeared again in the 1997 special edition and the Blu-ray. But people who have seen it know it's not just an action scene. In Star Wars, this is one of the few times the Empire's cold, indifferent, and scary silence is shown. The scene that was hidden where Darth Vader tells everyone to wipe out a whole planet. The spaceport at Mos Eisley has been shut down and a search has begun. We'll find the droids in no time. If you need to, send in more troops. As cold, quiet, and scary as it was before Darth Vader choked an officer on the Death Star, there was another time. Lucas once said that this scene was too scary to start the movie. In the raw version of the movie, right after Leia Organa is caught, the Death Star finds out that the plans have been stolen. Vader stands in a big meeting room. A projector's pale blue light bounces off of his shiny mask. A group of Imperial soldiers, Tarkin Modi Taga, stand in front of him and are all quiet. Vader is not mad. He doesn't yell. He just says, enlarge the search and clean the planet. It's one of the first lines that directly suggests the Empire killed a lot of people, showing they were ready to level all of Tatooine to find a single droid. In the longer clip, a planetary map shows up, and each city is marked with a red dot that blinks. This scene shows Vader as a real tactician, not just a personal hunter. He is also the Empire's war machine. But Lucas thought that adding more to the scene would slow down the movie and make the Empire seem too real instead of mythical. The scene was cut down to a few seconds, making Vader look like a ghost instead of a cold, methodical leader. Darth Vader might have been very different in A New Hope if this scene had stayed the same. He might have been less of a sign and more of a person. And that might be the scariest thing of all, a being that is driven by rules instead of hate. Anchorhead Cantina is where Luke almost got caught before Mos Eisley. It was 1977 before Mos Eisley became famous for jizz whale music and notorious pirates. Before that, there was another pub where Luke Skywalker went and almost got grabbed by rebel soldiers. This scene was cut out of A New Hope totally, it only exists in the storyboards and the 1981 radio drama. Luke doesn't rush home after getting angry and leaving Tosha Station. He goes straight to Anchorhead in his landspeeder. A small, dusty town where farmers who are tired of the heat of the twin suns go to get away from it. Anchorhead Cantina is a local pub that looks like a low adobe building with broken walls and a rusted sign that shakes in the wind in the desert. Alien cigarette smoke and the smell of cheap Karelian ale were all that could be heard. Luke walks in, tunic is dirty, and sits down at the worn-out wooden bar. The barman is an old droid. Its rusted arm moves in stiff, jerky ways to pour drinks. Luke says with a fake smile, "Put it on Uncle Owen's tab." People he knows are around him. People farming on Tatooine, a green Rodian cleaning a blaster, and a group of young pilots talking about the revolt. One says that the Empire is after a robot that has the Death Star plans on it. You should sign up as a kid. Leave this pan right now. Luke's eyes light up the first time he comes across real news about the war outside the desert. The door suddenly opens. Two stormtroopers march in armor that shines in the bright light. One yells at papers. Luke jumps up, and his heart starts beating fast. He sneaks out the back door without being seen. He doesn't know that R2-D2 holds the galaxy's fate, but danger is getting closer. The scene was cut by George Lucas because Mos Eisley was already very different. However, if it had been kept, Luke would seem more active and eager for adventure, and the stormtroopers would feel like a real threat. A lost part of Tatooine is Anchorhead Cantina. It's where Luke Skywalker got ready to leave the desert before Obi-Wan even showed up. The station in Tosha where Luke Skywalker's first dream took place was closed down. Get your act together, you guys. I knew you were back. In the movie, Luke yells, "But I was just going to Tosha Station to get some power adapters." That line comes up again and again at the beginning of A New Hope, but it is never used again. But in the original cut, Luke goes to Tosha Station and meets up with his best friend, Biggs Dark Lighter, there, in the hot sands and dry winds. The scene starts in a dusty repair hangar, which is actually a storage shed that has been turned into a mechanic's shop. Welding tools are making crackling sounds. When Luke walks in and sees Biggs after being away for months, his eyes light up. Like brothers, they hug, talk, and joke around. But there's a quiet gap between them that you can't see. Biggs has already left Tatooine, but Luke is still the dreamer who has never been anywhere. Some joke that the Emperor would not care about this planet because it is just a ball of dry sand. Luke laughs, but his eyes stay on her for a moment, as if he knows something bigger is about to happen. Palpatine, this is the first time that Star Wars hints at something that people don't know yet. A name never said, a shadow not yet made. The first sign that the galaxy is going to end is Tosha Station, which isn't just a party scene. This shows how average people in the Empire don't care about their world because they think the Emperor won't do anything. People don't know how this lack of interest helped evil grow until much later, in films like The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker. George Lucas cut the scene because he thought it would slow down the beginning. But we see everything in those few minutes. Friendship, youth, and the start of darkness. Luke might still be laughing in Tosha Station if he hadn't left Tatooine. He thought the Emperor wouldn't notice him. Greedo frightening Han Solo with a res-hot blaster shot that split fans in two. This shot broke the whole galaxy in two. A small flash of light in a dark bar that changed Star Wars for good. Mos Eisley's drink shop. There is Jizwhale music that curls like desert snakes, alien smoke that wraps around the necks of pirates, and flickering neon lights that look like they could die at any time. A place with no laws. A place where you die if your heart beats too slowly. Han Solo sits alone in the corner while people around him laugh and break glasses. Under the table with his vest open and his eyes moving back and forth between things. Greedo, a Rodian bounty hunter, is being approached by a green figure with blood-stained eyes and a voice that sounds like sand being ground. Han Solo, Jabba doesn't like it when you avoid paying your debts. I'll bring your body back to him. He has already pointed his gun under the table finger and is shaking. But ready to shoot. Han answers calmly. I don't think they want another murder to happen here. There is nothing strange that Greedo sees. He keeps the blaster up and gives directions. They haven't really noticed. Stand up. Han laughs. Sure, I bet you. There was no sound or music, just quiet. A breath held, and a blue flash. When Greedo trips and falls, his eyes widen. His chest is giving off smoke. There are drops of green blood all over a drink. Moves the body out of the way and stands up, as if he were just done some normal work. He says, "Sorry about the mess," and then he walks away. That was the real Han Solo, who was risky and smart and lived by gut rather than luck. Once the movie came out, though, George Lucas changed it. He told me that I wanted Han to be a hero, not a killer. He shot first, so Greedo. Han shot back. And that one frame, which was a tiny fraction of a second, split the fans for almost 50 years. This scene was the subject of hundreds of memes, Han shot first t-shirts, and discussions at Comic Cons. It also became a symbol of artistic freedom. When people spoke out against a creator to protect a character's identity. If the first cut had kept Han separated, wouldn't have been just Star Wars' first bad guy, he'd have shown that in Mos Eisley, the first person to shoot isn't always bad. That person is still alive. Buried Yavin meeting, the scene that would have broken Luke's heart the most if Biggs had died. Yavin. 4. Jungle full of screaming X-Wings, engine oil smell mixed with rebel cigarette smoke. Luke Skywalker walks into the base for the first time and is shocked by how many fighters are running around. Then there was a shout, "Luke!" He is hit by a storm of Luke Skywalker, who has a dark, lighter mustache and a worn-out rebel flight suit. The two friends from Tatooine laugh so hard they can't breathe as they hug each other tightly. Biggs pats Luke on the shoulder and says, "I told you I'd make it. The Academy was a joke. That was 3 months ago. I quit and joined the revolt." Luke has bright eyes. "Uncle Owen finally let you go." His voice is soft as Biggs shakes his head. "Don't kid. You did it. I'm happy for you." Garvin Dries, the leader of the Red Team, puts his hand on Biggs' shoulder. His voice sounds like a campfire as he looks at Luke. "Your dad? It was a pleasure to fly with Anakin Skywalker. A name that the Empire tried to get rid of." Luke's lips are frozen and shaking. "My dad flew planes." Biggs nods, and his eyes shine. "Luke, let's fly together. The same way it was at Tosha." As they look up, an X-Wing cuts through the sky over Yavin like a falling star. A soft hum of binary sunlight can be heard below the moment. Luke Biggs says in a whisper, "This is it. Put an end to the Empire." Luke answers, "May the Force be with us." In order to keep the Empire Strikes Back twist safe, George Lucas cut the scene so that Anakin wasn't touched on too soon. But if it had stayed, Biggs' death in the Death Star pit would have been very sad for everyone. Luke would lose more than just a teammate, he would lose a brother. The pointless Tosha station line would have become a promise after this scene. Biggs would be more than just another fighter, he would be the last link to Luke's childhood on Tatooine. Star Wars: A New Hope was more than just a movie in 1977. It was the biggest societal shift that films had ever seen. With a budget of only $11 million, it made more than $775 million, making it the highest-grossing movie of its time, beating out Jaws to become Hollywood's second straight summer big hit. All over the world, theaters were open all night. Ticket prices were cut like stock shares. Every line was learnt by heart by the kids. "May the Force be with you." George Lucas. Not yet 35 woke up after the premiere and found that he had started a new religion by chance. Star Wars wasn't just a story. It was a thought. A first childhood memory of excitement and hope. A universe where good still wins. But behind the glory were missing parts, scenes that were cut to save time, slow down the pace, or make the story lighter. The funny thing is that these were the scenes with the most heart. A New Hope might not have been just a space tale if people had seen Luke smiling in the sun at Tosha Baru, Biggs giving his friend one last hug on Yavin, or Luke stirring blue milk at sunset. It would have been a story about young people with dreams in the desert. And the deaths that give hope meaning. The movie made a world, but the scenes that were cut show that even the biggest universe starts with small things that people choose to forget. Which cut scene from A New Hope did you like the most? Or do you know any other secret facts about this famous movie? Drop your ideas in the box below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth looks at Hollywood's secret gems.